Welcome to the 20th anniversary of Government Technology Conference 2007.
Our life in the future.
Leaps and bounds of technology.
An explosion of excitement.
Invent tomorrow.
Holograms play football on a coffee table.
IT as a utility.
Jargons and acronyms.
Massive storage farms.
A place where ideas are encouraged.
Security and access.
The real business is transforming the business of government.
To become a change agent.
One-stop shopping.
Project portfolio management.
Intelligent use of technology.
Concepts and ideas and possibilities.
You really need to go to this GTC thing.
That's our future.
Well, it started off in 1986, about a year and a half before the first event in May of 1987.
My partners and I were publishing this little computer newspaper called Sacramento Valley Computer News,
which was a local retail publication about the use of computers.
The IBM PC was still very young. The Macintosh computer had just come out. And we saw this technology, this personal computing technology, as revolutionary.
Dennis came to me one day and said, "Hey Bob, I've got a bright idea. It's something I think that it's going to be really good. And it's a conference, you know, about government and technology."
Because 20 years ago, this was pretty out there. It wasn't what people were doing yet.
So here we took the two most boring subjects in the world, government and technology, and we were going to hold a conference.
A couple of young entrepreneurs would say, you know, we can help shape this market. I mean, that was a very refreshing idea.
My job was to go out and meet with government officials and kind of check with them on what they thought of this idea.
I didn't know who Bob Graves was, except I knew that he was part of a company that was publishing a newspaper that was handed out freely around town, that always led with a bad story about technology and state government.
But there were visionaries in government, and in meeting with them, they very quickly came on board on the advisory board.
Now, planning GTC1 actually took about 2 years, and we weren't sure exactly what we were doing, but we knew it was going to be exciting, and we were going to have a lot of fun.
Dennis we would sit there and brainstorm, and these ideas would come out, and Bob was just kind of the calm through the whole storm.
We had promoted and created such strong interest in the event. And then about 2 months before it, we realized somebody had to deal with the registration of everybody. We were just really stuck at that point. And along came Deborah Furlow.
Bob handed me this box. This box was full of little scraps of pieces of paper with names of people and phone numbers of people. There was no database. There was no infrastructure built at all. And so he handed me this box and he says, "Figure it out." So that's what I did.
So here was our chance. We wanted to start with a bang, and so we hired John Nesbitt to be the keynote speaker for our first event. And we were going to have this at the Convention Center Theater. It seats about 2,500 people.
We weren't quite sure if anyone was going to bother to show up to a government technology conference.
So we were going to throw a big party, and the big question was, is anybody going to come? And I remember the night before that first GTC, I did not get much sleep.
Happy 20th anniversary, Government Technology.
To the folks at GTC, just happy 20th anniversary.
We decided that we should go over and visit the first kickoff for government technology.
The first year we really didn't have a good idea how many people were going to show up, and you know, we had hoped for maybe 2,000 people and 50 exhibitors or something like that.
Wondering, you know, how this thing, really we had bet the company on, was going to turn out.
I could not believe what I was seeing because there was a huge line.
And there were banners up and down the street, and I saw all these well-dressed public sector professionals, and I was hooked. I mean, I hadn't even parked my car.
About 5,000 people, including a line for registration that went all the way around the block.
Everything was very inspiring.
Most private companies really didn't treat government as a serious market, as simply as a sideshow.
The new administration was very interested in changing the way government worked and making technology part of those changes.
We actually were at the first one. HP joined the group.
This was the first time people were really seeing what technology could do and how the state could use things.
Somebody finally actually cares that sort of we exist.
You know, this is real. This actually is going to be a conference.
I want to wish GTC a happy 20th anniversary.
Happy 20th, GTC. Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
The first few years opened my eyes to what we as public sector professionals are supposed to do with technology.
My marketing people were laid off, and I had 2 weeks to go and a 20-foot booth rented, and I came across these street jugglers in San Francisco and brought them in on unicycles, and the experience was fabulous. Everybody loved them.
As a young guy, I came to GTC to listen to the old folks.
There ought to be a place for emerging companies to participate.
And it really was an eye-opening experience for me to see the size of the conference, the quality of the programs, the quality of the speakers.
So it was a place to be and be seen.
I exhibited at GTC with a hands-on approach where we actually had where people could walk up and use computers.
Clearly a great deal of excitement.
I'd like to wish Government Technology a happy 20th anniversary.
Congratulations to GTC for the 20-year anniversary.
There really wasn't any delivery mechanism for giving information to government agencies who needed to look at the latest and greatest innovative technologies.
So in the beginning, I was there learning and looking at the technologies of the future and what could happen, and over the years I was looking at solutions and how we could actually do things.
The internet will change every aspect of our lives. It will literally change the way we work, live, play, and learn in ways we're just beginning to imagine today.
Going through some of the seminars and even some of the training sessions really enabled me to see some of that technology put into action in a government setting.
It has really changed me as an IT professional. It has made my managerial skills. I've taken a tremendous amount of classes.
It's not about how good your idea is necessarily. It's not about how much capital you have. It's about how fast and how well you execute.
GTC was the first to talk about disaster planning.
It brought technology into the defense community, and it gave them the ability to level the playing field.
We must address this problem by appropriate strategic planning, by encouraging coordination and cooperation between government and private industry.
So when you combine the idea of learning more about something that is important to your future and celebrating the successes that people have had with it, it makes for a great event.
It's just nice to see that GTC was a pioneer. Competitors have come and gone. But, GTC has continued to redefine the agenda.
Remember that math is the most popular class in America in the 4th grade, least popular by the 10th. So from the 4th to 10th grade is the die-off of scientific curiosity amongst kids.
Great bunch of people, and I'm very happy. I was surprised it's 20 years now, and the time really flies.
Congratulations on your 20th year, and I hope you have 100 more.
My favorite speaker in the beginning was Nicholas Negroponte.
Scott McNeely.
The real coach carter, Bob Ballard, who discovered the Titanic.
Steve Jobs.
So I'm standing backstage, and it's like 5 minutes before this thing's supposed to go on, and no one knows where Steve Jobs is.
He talked about our life in the future.
And he gave just a wonderful talk about where technology was, where it could go. Extraordinarily well received. I understand it may have created a stir in the industry at the time.
It was spectacular. He gave a performance.
And then there was James Burke, the author of The Day the Universe Changed and Connections. Fantastic visionary.
Hi, I'm James Burke, and in the past I've done a number of keynotes for the conference, so I'd very much like to be there on the 20th anniversary. But as you can see, unfortunately, just at the moment I'm forced to tough it out here in the south of France. I see you have a productive and stimulating session ahead of you, so let me wish the event every success, and of course, a happy 20th anniversary.
Mobility, I think, is going to be the next wave that technology brings us.
When the PC was first introduced, people didn't know what it was.
It's great. What is it?
Waves of technology.
The big mainframe phase.
Watts lines.
Mini computers.
Data lines.
LANs.
Lease lines.
LANs.
Massive storage farms.
40-pound portable, luggable computers.
Routers.
Dumb terminals.
Hubs.
Modems.
Bridges.
These technologies at the time were exciting.
Now with the internet, we've realized that IT is kind of everywhere.
How can we work together to create that next product that we can use, which will be good for our, residents and citizens?
How do you leverage technology to enhance the provision of healthcare services?
We need to use technology to upgrade the skills, the opportunities, and the educational levels of our children.
bring more business flavor and training, if you will, to the CIOs and show them how they can communicate.
Our future is one that gets us away from concentrating or aggregating people in offices downtown.
Systems are going to be built in a way that serve the needs of multiple layers of government and multiple client populations.
They want to be able to be connected, to do their work, to be social, wherever is most convenient for them.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens when the baby boomers really start retiring in the next 3 years.
And now there's a completely different generation in here that hopefully is looking back at some of the stuff that we did and saying, okay, we can see where these old goats were going with this and move it into the future.
My favorite part, of course, is the showcases of solutions, getting to see what's really happened, how people have really applied technology.
It gives a certain amount of respect and pride to the agencies that are actually doing good work.
Happy 20th anniversary,
GTC.
Hi, this is Steve Westley, former California State Controller and former Senior Vice President at eBay. I just want to congratulate everybody at the Government Technology Conference. I always felt this was the best conference in the industry because it was the best place where people could share the best practices and the success stories from governments around the country. I'm sitting here in my office at Kleiner Perkins right in the heart of Silicon Valley, where I've seen some of the technologies that are going to reshape this state and this nation's future. And I'm prouder than ever to have been a past co-chair of this conference. Congratulations on your 20th anniversary. I will just tell you the technologies you're about to see are going to be things that are going to enable you to fundamentally reshape government.
Hey, happy anniversary, GTC.